We'll let people in just a few more seconds here. So I'm going to welcome you this morning to the AATF webinar series. This is our answer to being not in Trois-Rivières this summer. And this is the tough one because this is where my family's originally from. I was so excited to propose that as a place for us to meet in Trois-Rivières. We'll be going back there, I'm sure, soon. And if you've been there before, you can share some memories perhaps in one of our chat rooms. So we have a full week of experiences for you, full month, excuse me. And I want you just to think about what else you can do to join in. So if you found out about this, there's a couple of ways that you probably found out about this, is that you were on our Facebook page. So the AATF Facebook page, if you haven't liked that, please do so. We've got a great opportunity to share ideas with you on this page. And, you know, sometimes Facebook is a little bit problematic in that it doesn't always show you every single publication. So if you hit those three little dots and you make sure that you're definitely subscribed to our page and that you see it, you can see it first.
A sense of what that number is.
Thank you for muting. And well, you probably saw that here or in the French Teachers in the US group. So this is our replacement program. So you've got many webinars to choose from all month long. So if you've chosen this one to start with, welcome. There's other ones for you to grab on, and you can always submit those. There's a registration form at the very top of the page. So if you need to find that, go to our Facebook page and you'll see it there, or you would have received a message from Jana Brott. So I'm going to come back to the presentation. So today we're here to talk about designing engaging activities for interculturality and exploring the AATF curated resource material platforms. And I got this idea just because a couple weeks ago I shared some of my units that I did with the students. And there was a good reaction, like, wow, this is so wonderful. How did you do that? And I thought, well, let's get together and talk about that. And this is my 7th or 8th AATF webinar this summer. We've been sharing ideas, trying to get together and connect and make sure everyone feels supported as a French teacher. So we have been, offering this for a while, but this one's more entailed, like, what can we actually do? Okay, so we have, let's see, how many teachers in here right now? It's quite a few. I'm going to look, 189. So a couple webinar etiquette things, please. As we're a large group, just be respectful as everyone's speaking time. And we're going to be in a couple breakout groups. So if you have a lot to say, we've got a lot of other people, just be respectful. We can email each other. We can share addresses, etc. And we come from different perspectives and locales. So please be respectful of other people's approaches to teaching, learning, or procedures. And you don't need to display your video, but when we're in a breakout room, if you want to show a picture or something, that'd be great. But please keep your microphone muted unless you'd like to speak during one of our talking times. And then if you have a question, you can do the raise hand, and that's, most people have learned how to do that. So Lindsay's there, she's gonna check up and see if people need something. Okay, so just a few things to do that. Who am I? I'm Catherine Ousselin, world language curriculum design technology coach. I'm a French teacher in Mount Vernon, Washington State. I am on Twitter all the time, and I know a lot of you from Twitter. And then if you need to get a hold of me from email, I'm up there as well. So just usually Google my name. You can look at my husband's information, but I'm the only Catherine as far as I know. I do a lot for world language teachers. I'm involved with the AATF in different aspects. I'm the Region 9 representative, and I'm also kind of the social media manager, the person that does all the resource creation, and the current WAFLT, which is Washington State Language Organization President. Just a few things that I do, but that's not the worst thing. This is inside that portable. It's never this clean. I took a picture one time when it was clean. It looks big, but of course this is just one of those panoramic shots to make it look big and beautiful. Tables have changed a bit. So you notice we have all of our books on this side, and we've got, no, we don't use a standard curriculum. So we build the curriculum locally based on the AP themes and ACTFL standards, etc., the national standards. And we get together with different colleagues and collaborate put together so many things for the students with authentic resources. Okay, and you know, when I started out in that portable, I had to buy my own computer because they didn't want to give me one, and that's kind of strange in those days to have to bring your own computer. But today we have 30 Chromebooks and 30 iPads for the students. So I've come a long way in terms of technology in that classroom. You probably saw the smart board, and we've got surround sound speakers. It's pretty nice now, but I think about to my origins when I didn't have even my own computer in that classroom. It's my objectifs are in French, but we're going to be switching back and forth, so don't worry, you can speak French or English today. So, l'autre jour, on va comprendre les idées de la compétence interculturelle et des niveaux de compétences linguistiques. Okay, so interculturality. Concevoir et organiser une unité avec des ressources authentiques et des activités engageantes qui encouragent le développement de la compétence interculturelle. Trouver, sélectionner et utiliser des ressources pédagogiques authentiques d'une façon réfléchie, engageante et enrichissante. Et découvrir et participer au cycle collaboratif professionnel destiné aux professeurs de français. Woohoo! Just a few things, and we've got 2 hours. Okay? So, we're going to do a quick conversation room, and I'm going to put you just into random groups. This is all about nos réussites. We're going to be positive on this. There's going to be, I couldn't connect with my students. No, we've done that, and we're done for the year. We need to just think of one activity or strategy or something that worked well in quotes, for you or for the students. Okay, so when I put you into the breakout room, it's only going to be for 10 minutes. It's just a quick little hello and one good thought. And if you're being online, it's really crazy. When you go into breakout rooms, you start seeing like teachers are very much like our students. Sometimes they're really quiet, or sometimes they're very chatty, and sometimes they're way off talking. And that's great. This is our time to get together. Normally we'd be having a coffee meeting at the Trois Rivières out in the breakout, in the exhibitor sessions. So here we are in our breakout rooms. What I liked hearing was a lot of you were sharing the tools and ideas that at least something worked for you. I heard a lot of Flipgrid. So yes, of course, Flipgrid saved a lot of people. Some kids didn't like it. Some kids were into it. Lyrics training was brought up. That's beautiful. HyperDocs, Extempore, who they're going to be making a lot of money in the next couple of weeks. And then of course, Google. So I'm going to show you now a few things, and we'll get into my presentation that a lot of people wanted to see about how I did things. And it's not like I'm going to say that this was magical or that it worked perfect. We just wanted to share a few ideas of ways that we adapted to the situation. So I'm not going to go through the compétences interculturelles. You'll have this presentation in about 45 to 50 minutes. I will share that out with you, because I think if we take a lot of time on this, most of us already know about interculturality, but it's something that we want to just make sure that we're inserting into all of our unit design, whether we use a textbook or whether we design our own curriculum. So we've got all these different ways to put students at proficiency levels, whether if it's the CEFR or ACTFL, or there's a couple of other things, like if you're doing the stamp test, there's, you know, where are our students and how are they progressing? So you'll have links, and you can use all of those in your own research. Even the Institut Français has something. And this I found from Canada, because I was working with Canadian teachers last week, how they do their I can statements. Always fun to see how other people around the world do these things. Okay, so spend some time and click around on those when you get the presentation. Just click on it and you'll be able to go right to the link. And of course, we have the Necessful, Actful, Can-Do statements, benchmarks. Most of us know where our students are and our goals are. When we get there, we're going to concevoir un scénario pédagogique selon les 6 principes ou pratiques de l'ACTFL. Okay, and maybe you've heard about these, but I designed this little graphic to help us out. And I did a whole presentation at ACTFL in 2019 on the 6 principles and how French teachers can add that. So if you click on this link, you'll have all of the activities and links, everything that you'll need to do those, but they're mostly for in-person situations, when you can actually look at the students and talk to them in person. It's going to be a little different. I share that, but we can still use these principles as we're designing a hybrid environment for our students. So this one I'm going to show you is encourager la compétence interculturelle à travers la nourriture et le voyage. And it's hilarious, on March 13th, as most of you know, we found out that we would be gone for 2 weeks. And so I talked to the students. I said, well, we're about to start a wonderful unit on food. And I don't mean like lists of vocabulary of food. We're going to be looking at 2 different ways. For my novice mid students, I'm going to be doing school lunches around the Francophone world. And for my intermediate mid-high students, I'm going to be working at identité culturelle et géographique. So we're going to look at those 2 different things about identity and show you how I took the students from the level that they were at. I didn't actually take them there. I helped them, I supported them from going from either novice mid to novice high. That was our goal. Or from intermediate mid to intermediate mid high. Those were my goals, but I had to think of ways to create activities that would support them through this. So this are the 2 units that I shared on French teachers in the US. On the link, you have the complete, you just click on it, the complete unit design. I used the Laura Terrell, Donna Clementi template for this. It's the teacher version, of course, and it has all the links to the activities, etc., that I normally do. And you also have the link to what my students saw. So I'm going to be kind of going through it like this so that you can see. And this is week 6. I'm going to take us back to week 1 just by flipping backwards. Okay, so this is what I sent to my students on Google Classroom. I made this, but I of course I put it on Google Classroom so that each thing was also linked, because not everybody, like this may not show up. It's okay on a phone if you look at this. It's okay on a tablet. It's better on a computer. But I designed this 6-week Google Slides to help my students go through week by week. And I did this because I wanted this to help them see their path to proficiency. And I made a little video of them introducing this, saying, each week you're going to follow the path. And you notice that on the left side, it has nos questions à considérer. Quelles sont mes préférences et habitudes alimentaires? The day I saw them, I gave them an infographic with some food discussion about meals in Europe. And I said, I'll see you in 2 weeks and we'll talk about this. Well, we know where that went. So then I had to think, these students have no knowledge of food. All I was able to do was give them that infographic. Then we took a month off because we weren't supposed to teach for a month. And then they said, start teaching new stuff. Okay, thinking about that, going, how am I going to help support these kids whom I haven't seen for a month, who don't know any of this vocabulary? And I want to get them to the next, next level being a novice, mid to novice high. That's a goal. So when I designed this, I made it kind of like in a little path. So it goes down from the left and then it goes to the right. And I put numbers in there so that the students know where they're supposed to start. And I put the little arrows there. And how I did this, if you've never made a Google slide before, you can put a background on there. You can get your Bitmoji. I just grabbed them from my iPod and I saved them. You can download them and then upload them. And I'll show you how to do that in a bit here. The Bitmoji are just the cute parts. Some people made entire Bitmoji classrooms, and that was our nervous teacher energy, right? We needed something to do. I'm not in my classroom, so I'm going to build this classroom. So I think those were great. I think those are wonderful, but some students need real strict, like click here, do this type of thing. So when I was designing mine, I was trying to make sure that all my students would understand that. Plus, when I put them in Google Classroom, I would make an assignment, I'd have topics, and I'd say step 1, step 2, step 3. Very important. I'm going to hit the stop share a second, and you can unmute yourself and throw me out some feedback. What do you think of that initial idea about how we design for student support?
Catherine, thank you so much. I'm one of those people that doesn't like Bitmojis.
I know.
So I would love to hear your feedback, though. Instead of using Bitmojis, would you just encourage other teachers who are like me to just use real pictures, or would you just
Pictures,
admit that?
anything you want. I did, you know what, the Bitmoji thing, it's like Pinterest. I'm not into it, but people use it, so I have to be cool. I submitted to societal pressure, Tracy. I feel bad about that, but you know what? I only put one per page. I gotta say that. So no, use your own picture. Use those jabber-talky little avatars things. Anything you want. Please don't feel compelled to use the Bitmoji, like jump on the boat type of thing, because that ticks me off. Thank you for bringing it up. So much thank yous. Tracy, it's good to see you. Oh my God.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, hi. It's going to be my first time teaching online for a large audience. My concern is about copyright when I use pictures, because I'm not a drawer. You know, when it's in the classroom, that's okay. But as soon as you broadcast something on the internet, you don't know what the students are going to do with it. So am I the only one nervous with copyright? What can I do?
No, absolutely not. So the things that I do when I use pictures from the internet, of course, just one moment. I didn't realize the garbage truck would come on a Tuesday when it's supposed to come on a Friday. Okay. I use Creative Commons to look for my pictures. And you can do that in a Google search when you can choose if the picture is copyright open. And that's important to do. If you're making Bitmoji, of course, those are yours. If you're using GIFs or GIFs, like those little arrows, those usually aren't an issue. I'm going to show you real quick how to do that search to make sure that it's safe to use that. And what we'll do is we'll just click out of here and we'll go to images and we'll try and spell images correctly. Okay. And let's just say identité gastronomique. Okay. You can go to tools and type. You can switch what type it is, but right next to it is usage rights. And that's labeled for reuse. And the other thing that you can do is go to Creative Commons images. Creative Commons images is a way for teachers and everyone else to use that content that's allowed to be shared. Okay, so if you go in there now, like I typed in one time orange, and these are pictures that you can use that are legal to share online. So I hope that answered your question. Okay, what other thing would you like to know? Or do you like comment on just that first initial setup to support your students so that they don't feel like they don't know where to click? Okay, I'm gonna go.
How long did it take you to put that whole thing together?
About 15 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a blank screen and then the picture I chose, the background is real pretty, right? That's because we're talking about food around the world, and that's why I chose like a global map of food. And then the little Bitmoji, I've had those for a while, so I just uploaded it from my camera to my Google Docs, had it in there. The next part's, yes, creating the activities, that took a little longer, but like just building these little boxes with text boxes, that's normal stuff to do, and I'll show you what those look like. Let me go back to the screen. Okay, so there it is. This is that screen right there. It's just a blank screen. There's the background. Let's make it big for you to see. So I made little text boxes. That's all those are, and I've changed the borders. And then I put the arrows in. And to do that, it's really interesting when you find on images, like if you go to arrow, up, okay? So there's your basic ones, but remember we said if we go to tools and we go to type and we go to GIF or GIF or however you like to say it, these ones move, okay? So that's a way to refine your Google search. So it's something that you want. And you can do this for, you know, if you want to put in, I don't know, cat. You can find, oh my gosh, let's just go all silly with this stuff, right? So now you've got a picture and you're going to right click on it and go to copy image address. Not copy image, but the address. Okay, so click on that. Come back to your presentation and then insert an image. right? We've done that before. And then go down to URL and paste that in there. It'll take a second. Oh, there it is. And then you would insert it. I'm not going to insert this one because I don't think my students want to see the cute cat in the bowl. But again, you can do that by going into Tools, Type, and then GIF, and then get the image address. Okay, so I'm going to hit stop share a second. How do you feel about getting an image from the web legally and fun? Just a little thumb on that one. Okay, those are pretty cool. So when you're designing that, you know, that background, whatever you're doing to, if you want to make this engaging, you know, this is that thing where it's a lot of color, there's the borders are set. But let's talk about the activities. Remember, I haven't seen these students for a month, right? So the first thing I sent them to was my website that has all the vocabulary, just straight up vocabulary for foods. And I color coded the words so they're blue and red for masculine and feminine. Sorry about the noise. And it goes down and down. And I try to find food from all over the Francophone world, right? I'm not just doing European, French cuisine. I try and show them things that people would eat in different places and different regions. So there's mon plateau de fruits de mer. I mean, oh, you cannot discuss life without that. Then, of course, we use Quizlet. And I heard when we were walking through the different groups, lots of people use Quizlet. Absolutely. That's a real nice way for the students to interact with the vocabulary. The third and, well, the last activity that they're going to do is their first seesaw. Activity. And that's my big share for today. Before I do that, how many of you have heard of or used Seesaw? Okay, not a lot. It is a free tool, and I say free because I used it for 4 years for free. I did pay for it just today because I want to try something different, but you don't need to use it. I'm going to show you the activity first that I designed for my students, and then I'm going to show you the other things you can do with Seesaw. And if you know Nathan Lutz, he's up in New Jersey. He is an amazing guy. Yes, I saw you. He has a great Facebook group called Seesaw for World Language Teachers, in which teachers share their activities and talk about the ways that they use that. Okay, so this is Seesaw. This is an activity building experience. It's wonderful for me because I couldn't lead my students through a bunch of things. So I made this for them. I sent this out to them and then they filled out the activities and sent it back to me. And I saw all of their answers in one feed. So on the first activity, they're just going to do an interpretive reading experience. They're going to look at some images with food groups because I want them to know about the food groups. Then they're going to organize the images into a table that shows me that they understood what they read. And on the fourth activity, they're going to organize fruits and vegetables based on their likes and dislikes. Because if you look at our can-do statements, it says, what are my food preferences? Why do I like or dislike certain foods? I can identify foods and their groups, and I can explain my food preferences. So this is that activity that is basically the summative activity. Okay, so that was the first page. The kids saw the directions. Then they clicked onto the second page. The second page is just visual graphics, and these are copyright approved. One of them is from Canada and one of them is from France. And I put on these little text boxes for them because if you notice the text on here is kind of small. So I made little text boxes. You can do that with a T. You can change the size of a text box. You can change the color, and you can put it wherever you want. So this is a picture I uploaded, and this is a text box that I added. Okay, and I'm going to check the chat because there's lots of questions popping up here real quick. Let me finish this and I'll go into the chat. This is the second text box, excuse me, the second picture that I added. And I put those two in there and I just wanted the kids to look. So here's the first actual activity that they have to do. I put a whole bunch of pictures that I just uploaded from my computer of foods. And you notice I use foods that are in French. So I tried to find cereal boxes and milk boxes, everything that was in French. And I made a little table for them. And I said, okay, now when the kids get this activity, they're going to use the little hand down here and they're going to drag the food into the correct box. So if it's a meat, it's going to go over there. If it's a fruit, yes, I know, this is a fruit, goes over there. Okay, so that's all they had to do. And that's a gimme, right? That's like so easy. The easiest activity possible because I wanted the students just to feel confident. I'm not there in person to go, good job, you're doing it. All right, you're smart. I can't be there. So what I'm giving them is like, all you have to do is drag these pictures of food into the right box. At least they're showing that they looked at the graph and that they can interact with me. Like, that's my hook, right? I'm trying to grab them in. I want them to be engaged and feel successful with the language. This is a novice mid-level, so that you could do this with French 1, French 2, however you want to, however your groups go. If you have elementary kids, or these are high school kids that did this. High school kids, they were playing with drag and drop. And when you put those pictures in, this allows you to drag them with this little hand. When the kids got on the activity, they clicked the hand and then they started dragging. So let me show you what that looked like. Sorry. So when the kids logged in, they had this little hand right down here, and when they clicked on it, they were able to drag the food into the right spot. Not too bad for a first activity. Let's look at the chat real quick. Okay, Seesaw, yep, they're recording. Yep, it's very easy. I'll show you what the students' work looks like here in just a second. I just want to give you an idea of what that did, and then you can see the results, absolutely. Let me get through this first part just to show you as the teachers what that looked like. Okay, so the next activity for them was I put masculine fruits and vegetables on this side, and I put feminine fruits and vegetables on this side. I made this little graphics, I'm all into making graphics, and I put them in there. J'aime bien manger, je n'aime pas, je n'ai jamais essayé, je refuse de manger. And so the students would look at the words, and remember, they saw all those vocabulary words on my website and on Quizlet. So I'm hoping that this proves that they did that. This is kind of I did look at the website, I did play with Quizlet. So they were going to take the words and put them in the categories, whether they liked, disliked, or etc. When they're done, they're going to click the microphone and they're going to record themselves saying 6 different phrases that they built here. So j'aime bien manger les champignons, or je refuse de manger les cerises. So that's what they did. And when they were done, they clicked the check and it comes to me. So that's how I built it. Okay. Now, the next part I'm going to show you is what my students, like the work I got back for them. Okay. So that you can see both sides of that. But it was very easy for me to make that activity just by typing in the words. It's kind of like a PowerPoint or a Quizlet where you just type it in and then uploading the pictures. So I have the pictures saved to my computer. Most of you have a good way of organizing your pictures. If not, contact me because I can show you how to do that. So let's look at the students' work, right? And I'm going to hop out of here. I don't want to save any of these changes. I don't need to edit the activity anymore. So French 2, admit that person. So here are my classes. I've got all of them organized by the class periods. And I'm going to look at the journal here. Okay, so let's go down to Allison. Okay. And we'll look at, okay, so this is Allison's work that was submitted to me. Okay, so the first page, there's nothing because that's just the directions. Allison clicked on the next page and saw this. Okay, those are the food groups. This is what Allison did. Now, I look at this and I go, ooh, mostly understood, right? Mostly understood. I wrote Allison back. You can make comments on their work and say, okay, here's the deal, Allison. Peppers are actually fruits, and so are cucumbers and zucchini. And he wrote me back and said, why? And I said, because they have seeds in them. So I was also teaching a little bit of biology there. But for the rest, everything was put into the right category. So I can that's a quick assessment. Did they get it or not? It's a real formative assessment. So then let's look at the second page, and I'm going to make sure you can hear the sound. Now remember, I haven't seen Allison for a month, and this is the work that was submitted.
J'aime bien manger les bananes. J'aime bien manger les fraises. J'aime bien manger les pommes de terre. Je n'aime pas les oignons. Je n'ai jamais essayé les papayes. Je refuse de manger les pamplemousses.
Okay, I was crying. I was crying because I hadn't seen Allison is as like a manga artist. Her talents are so amazing, and I was crying, and you can tell there's a lot of chat in there going, oh my God, this is what I mean by engaging. I gave them stuff that wasn't overwhelming, right? There was, did you see any grammar? No, it was just like, look the pictures, organize the pictures, make a sentence just by dragging the words in. Boom, done. Okay. This one, the students did just easily and fun, and they actually participated. So I'm open. Can you unmute yourself if you want to ask a question or something about that activity?
I have a
Okay.
quick question about about her pronunciation was amazing.
I know.
For I think that was that new vocabulary. I think you
Yes.
said that. Okay.
Brand new.
So how had they practiced pronunciation? Was that something that you built into the Quizlet, or did you have other audio? So you have your recordings in Quizlet, and then they were able to, as they practice those, listen to the pronunciation.
Everything right there. And so what happened is that I made a couple of videos for them. They're not on this, but they're in later weeks, so I'll show you that. But yes, Quizlet helps them with that. Plus, I put some videos, and I'm going to show you that on my presentation for the kiddos. There are 2 videos right here,
Okay.
and both of them have fruits and vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, watch these 2 videos. Okay, so they were about the food groups. I'll show you one. Pretty basic and comprehensible. That was my video.
Pour savoir quoi manger, il faudrait déjà y voir clair. Sortons tout. Wow, t'as raison, c'est mieux.
Okay, so I found these 2 videos, and I made sure that they were pretty accessible for that level so that they could hear the words in context. So the Quizlet helped and the 2 videos helped. Any other questions on that?
Kathleen, I just have a question about the Seesaw portion when you were showing the student work.
Mm-hmm.
I've only used Seesaw for student recording, so I'm a little confused about, it looked like a slide presentation in Seesaw.
So what you can do, and let me just share it here real quick, is that you can actually build an activity for them, which in the 4 years that I had been using Seesaw, I had never done. I had only just done like where the students recorded, like you said, they recorded themselves. So let's look at Brian here, because he was with me all year. Here's one where he typed something up. Okay, that's one way that he can show his work. And here's one with him recording. Where he's describing a character from Belle et Sébastien. So it's just him reading his writing. Here's a picture of some writing he did. This is him describing a root.
Le coq est petit. Il n'est pas gros.
Oh my God, you guys, Brian, he made so much progress.
Okay, so just a clarification. Can I ask a clarification then? So the link for Seesaw was in your Google Slides presentation. It took them to Seesaw, which then took them to another slide presentation?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, and just a second question, because Seesaw is not integrated into Canvas, but Flipgrid is, you can do the same thing on Flipgrid as on Seesaw, right?
You can, but I wanted them to have that activity where they were dragging and dropping things.
Oh, is the drag and drop in Seesaw?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
so
is Seesaw particularly good for drag and drop?
Oh yeah. So Brian, he didn't get the idea that he could drag, so he drew finger marks where he was sliding things. Can you see that?
Yes.
It's hilarious. And then for the recording thing, he didn't drag them in there, unfortunately. He's one kid. Let me see. Let's look at Greta. Greta's pretty amazing. Here's Greta's. Okay, so here's her work. She just looks, and then she dragged the fruits in, and I don't think you can do that on other platforms.
Okay. And are there any instructions anywhere on how to do these slide presentations within Seesaw?
I can show you how to do that. You can. So I've been offering people like we can do a one-on-one, so I can like guide you through it.
Okay.
I was offering those for quite a while on the French teachers in the U.S. I'd say, hey, come work on. How many? I think I see someone who took advantage of that. Yes, yes. Tell us how did it go?
Me, Marianne.
Yes.
It was phenomenal. You introduced me to Seesaw, and hands down, that is what made my distance learning manageable, 100%. And I didn't even know about the slides portion, but I had a student figure out how to do the slides portion, and she turned in a project that was like slides recorded, her voice. It was just amazing for that interactive component. I used it for assessment. I used it as like a quick do now, here's a picture, response, everything. It was amazing. You were amazing. It was amazing. And
well, let's go back. Let's see. There's proof. It's not just Catherine that can do this, right? It's all of us. Who else has used Seesaw in a different way than just the basics?
So my elementary kids use Seesaw. So
yeah.
my perspective is not from a teacher, but from a parent.
And how do you like it?
It was okay. Like I thought in a lot of ways it was the best platform for little kids, like a first grader and a third grader, because it was very like they intuitively kind of knew what to do, and they loved to record themselves.
Yeah.
Present it. Like my kids were like recording everything. I did find like my kids sometimes were like, things aren't posting correctly, or like there was like those issues, like the technical aspect of it. It didn't always work for them. Like sometimes my kids would be like, I know I put that in there, but now it's not. And like, it wouldn't, like, I think it was overloaded with like people using it. And so it didn't always load things in a timely manner. And that part was frustrating.
That's something that we've all learned to just feel is frustrated at times. Absolutely. I'm going to show you a couple more things about what you can do with Seesaw. You do not have to make activities, right? You can send your students a Google or a Canvas or some sort of instructions that says, go on to Seesaw, draw me a picture of what you ate for breakfast. So here they are, they're drawing something. You know I cannot draw, okay? This is squigglies. Then they can add text to it. They can say like, j'ai mangé, da da da. And they can add pictures to it. So they can upload pictures from their computers. I'm just gonna throw in this, okay? And then they can record themselves. That's just beautiful. They can add shapes to it, like it was something they loved. It's kind of Snapchatty, if you look at it. And that's why I think my high school students like it. They can make it big, they can make it small, they can change the color. But the important part is that they can write on it and that they can speak on it. And then when they're done, they hit that little green check mark and it comes to you in a like a Facebook feed. Oops, I gotta delete that just a second. Boom. Let's show you what that looks like. So when the students are done, like here's Blanca Mendoza, all of her work is in one feed. So I see each student's work from September all the way through March. And so I can
You'll also see it in like a class format.
Yep, you can also see it in a class format, and you can make the class like open to all the kids, or none of the kids can, you can make it private. And that's nice. You can also open it up to the parents, so the parent only sees their own students' work. And that's very powerful as well. You can make comments on it. So what I'd like to do is if a student had some difficulty with a certain activity, I click on the comment and either I can leave a voice comment or I can type a comment, and those are can be private. The other kids, if you allow it, they can like it and they can do little stuff to it. So that's up to you, and that's in the settings over here, the settings. And then you decide student likes and comments. Do you want those on or off? And then new comments need moderation. You can turn that on or off. Okay, so there's lots of ways that you can build on this. It doesn't have to be an activity.
Catherine?
Yes.
Seesaw or Flipgrid? If you had to choose one.
Yeah, if you have to choose one.
Seesaw.
Oh,
You know why?
I wondered.
yes, please.
Flipgrid is a little bit of a one-trick pony. It has a lot of bling in it. Okay, I'm not gonna, but it is also a little overwhelming for me. And my students will do a seesaw in a heartbeat over a Flipgrid.
I wonder,
will.
does Seesaw cost money or is
No,
it free?
no, you can, if you buy on the Seesaw, plus you can have multiple page activities. You don't need that. I have never used it in this 4 years. The only reason I started was because I saw Nathan Let's do something and I went, ooh, I want to try that. So that's the only reason. And I believe me, I am a big fan of theirs. A lot of people say it's just for elementary. I say it works so well for my high school kids that it's okay to be a little fun once in a while for the kids. But I love Flipgrid, and we don't want to overwhelm our kid with too many platforms, because that was one of the biggest things. Like, teachers were trying all sorts of different platforms, and their kids like, I don't know where to go. That's why I made the Google setup for them, that they could they'd follow along, and that was one thing. But I love Seesaw. I have used Flipgrid, but my kids will go, not a big fan. And I can understand that. They'll make a video of Snapchat in 15 seconds for 5,000 people, but they won't do a Flipgrid for us. Weird. Okay, real quick, I want to show you the second activity. Could I do that real quick? Are we ready? So there's no more questions on this. Let's go to the screen share.
Catherine, sorry, just a quick question. I really need to know this. Sorry. VoiceThread, is that overkill, combining it with Seesaw?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, okay, VoiceThread has had its experiences. It's been around for a while, right? And it was interesting. But again, for me, that's kind of a one-trick pony, in that you can do the one thing on it. And I like something where I can do multiple levels. So if I want the students to write something and then record, so if they're writing a little like something, right? And then they click the button, then they can record themselves, and I can listen to them speaking, and I can look at their writing. That's a nice way. So there's something I can do that I don't see in Flipgrid. They can take a video of themselves, or they can video something and then add that to it. They can upload their work. They can upload a picture. If they upload a picture, let's say like here, this is nothing, right? And they click the little check mark. They've got this picture. Look, it's from Philadelphia. They can add text to it. Okay, they can record over it. They can draw lines. They can do so many things to that one picture. So it's basically like an interactive workbook page. There are many reasons why I like this over everything else. And the activities are just kind of like the extra cheese on the cake. I'm not quite sure. So that was the novice one. And I'm just going to show you the rest of the novice, because I better do that, because week 2, we upped our question, and I made a screencastify video for the students about fruits and vegetables where I pronounce them. Okay, so wow, this is real fun.
Bonjour tout le monde.
So yeah, I've got my picture of Kenji up there. I've got my whiteboard. A lot of us did this. This was actually not a screencastify. This is a regular video. And then I put green screen up, and I learned how to do green screen better later. And then I've got a Disney video. The stop share real quick. Do most of you know those Disney videos, à table? Oh, they're so good for when you're learning about fruits and vegetables, because they have like 10 different videos that explain different fruits and vegetables, where they're from, what they taste like, and they're pretty comprehensible. That's the most important thing for me. If I'm using an authentic resource, I want to make sure that my students can access the language, or at least get some stuff for it. Let's look out to the question about going into the rural areas. So our second week is a little bit more different in that we can describe the texture, the taste, and the form, the shape of fruits and vegetables of food, right? And then I'm starting to add the grammar vocabulary that says, I understand this idea. Adjectives have masculine and feminine forms. And they knew that, but I just need to remind them, right? So I made a little I made a presentation for them just to introduce this idea. We're going to be describing foods that we eat with texture. So I put masculine, feminine, I give some pictures. All of us do this anyway. In our regular classes, we make these PowerPoints or whatever that we do so that we can show the vocabulary. And then I can use Screencastify to record myself saying the sentences or explaining it to them. Okay, so they were going to watch this video and this video. They're going to look at this, this little PowerPoint, Quizlet again, and then there's a Google form. And I heard most of you are using some type of form of Google or Microsoft Teams or whatever it is. Basically for this one, they're going to look at some videos from previous students' work. In the past, I have my students use a little avatar app to talk about their foods and vegetables, or their food preferences. And when you get the link to this, you'll be able to watch that. But since I couldn't ask my students to make these, I had them look at the previous year's videos. So so these are my sophomores. They're watching the current juniors and seniors videos. And I had them watch that because if we can do it, I couldn't make it an assignment in class, but at least you know what it looks like, guys. So I had them watch that. And this was for them just to explore it. And then they answered some real basic questions. And then I said, if you want to buy this app, here it is. So they're commenting on their classmates from a different class. Then I had them watch that the pastèque video, and I asked them to watch it at least 3 times. You won't understand most of it, but it is very visual, and there's many words that you do know. So my questions were in English, their answers were in English, and that way I didn't get kids copy pasting or Google translating. I asked them basic questions like, who's this made for? I want to make sure that I ask these type of questions instead of language production, because I think a lot of us had issues with cheating. Am I going to get a head shake on that one? Cheating, 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 kids copying and pasting or using Google Translate. When you ask questions, like if you look at the IPA, ACTFL's IPA standards that you can use, language production isn't the deal in this, it's the interpretive mode. So I can ask the questions in English, what did you understand? Okay, so that was week 2. Again, it wasn't really overpowering for them, but it was, you know, enough of the stuff that they could get, like they could feel confident in their work. Okay, so week 2 is done. Week 3, okay, now we're going up a little bit more. I'm going to say why I like fruits and vegetables, or food. I don't know why I say fruits and vegetables. This is the part where I'm taking my students from that novice mid, just basic vocabulary, right? That's what we say, that novice mid kids can make lists, they can memorize lists, great for them. This is the level where I'm going to take them into a different world, and they're going to say why. They're going to give a reason. And that previous presentation was saying crunchy and sweet and juicy. All those descriptive words are going to figure into that. Okay, so they're going to watch a quick little review of that, how to talk about your food specialties and tastes. Okay, and I've just told them, and basically I told them in English, this is what we're about to do. We're going to level up, guys. I want you to add details and add more information. Okay, I'm going to ask you to do that, and this is what it kind of looks like. So here I'm giving some nice grammar input, just to review for them for une and la, and how to say these things. This is all grammar, but it was just kind of like a flipped classroom situation. And I wanted to give them that so that they would feel confident in what they're about to do. So the next activity for them was to talk about the reasons why or why not they like certain foods, okay? And that's my second seesaw activity I'm going to show you. And let's pull it up here, activities. And give me a second to edit it. So on this one, I gave the instructions when I made the activity for them. And here's the template below. Okay, so I add this little template to my directions. On the first page, again, it's just me reinforcing the grammar. So nothing too exciting for them to do. And their first activity, and I'll have to make it a little bit bigger, is the easiest thing I will ever ask my students to do. It says, you're gonna separate masculine and feminine words. I just wanted to make sure. And because some of them have the L apostrophe, they had to go look that up. So their activity again is to take their finger, and it says la pêche, and so they move it into the right one, and it's right there for them. This is because I noticed some kids were not even trying, and I gave this to them and said, if you can't do this, we need to talk about why you're in French. Come on, do that, okay? So then on the second activity, I'm really moving them up, and I gave them really explicit directions. You're gonna make 4 sentences with an element from each category. So let's look at those. I made these categories: mes opinions, aliments masculins, parce qu'ils sont, adjectif, descriptif, positif, and négatif. Okay, so the students are going to come on to the activity, and they're going to choose 1 opinion, 1 food. They have to choose parce qu'ils sont, and then they're going to pick a reason why. Ooh, now there's a really nice novice, mid, high level type phrase, because it has a reason. And if you're working with the stamp or avant, you know that if they add on information, that moves them up the level. And then all they had to do when they made their sentence was record themselves saying it. So I'm going to move these back because I don't want to mess up all that organizational work I did. I'm going to show you what it looks like in just a second, but real quick, are there any questions on that level of work, how we leveled the kids up?
I do have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I keep wondering about the students who have, you know, IEPs 504, or they're struggling. It's overwhelming to see for them what's going on and to juggle from the instructions to what they have to do. How did you manage that? What do you do?
Well, I made a little tutorial video for each lesson, and I put that in Google Classroom, and I said, here's what you're going to do. And I actually screencastified the things that they were going to do. And then I did have office hours. So for my students, I have something like 15 students who are on IEPs. I just could meet with them and help them through that. And, you know, for that, I would just send them to the activity directly and just say, just do this one thing, so that they didn't feel like they had to go through too many things on Google Classroom to get there. And again, I'm going to point out, they have that presentation, right? But they also have it in Google Classroom where it's like, click here, click here, click here, to make sure it was so basic for even your most struggling student. That's how I'm reaching out to my students. And I did a lot of one-on-ones during office hours for the students who needed extra support.
Okay. May I ask you, did you find out it takes, how can I say that? The time you spend, you know, making those presentation and getting back to the students online versus face-to-face in a classroom, did you find out you were spending many more hours? This is the feedback I got from a coworker. So
I shouldn't be the person answering that, because this is what I do in life anyway.
Okay.
I am this kind of teacher that builds things all the time. Since I don't have a textbook, I'm always designing. And that's why, I mean, like on French teachers in the US, people are like, Catherine, you do so much. I'm like, this is how I teach. So it would be better to ask someone else. And I'd love to open that up. Who else, you know, like felt like, did you spend more time getting things ready?
Oh, I'm sorry. My question was more about once the time you spend once they got the material and you have to review, because I build too. So my concern was the time you spend on reviewing the work from your students online.
Well, when I'm in the class, I just walk around and I can tell right away if they got it or not. That's easy. I love formative assessment in class. Yep. This actual presentation, that little activity I had them do, is actually a hands-on manipulative activity with color-coded vocabulary cards, where they make sentences and then record them right in class. And I can walk around and see that they've got orange, yellow, 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 or orange, blue, 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 that they've lined their sentences up right. And since I couldn't do that, I did this. Reviewing the work, I just click through each student. I can tell if they got it or not. It does take some time, but let's see, for French 2 is where I spent my most efforts, because those are the kids that needed me most. 3, 4, and AP, they were easier for me because those kids already had a lot of language. They are feeling more confident. I spent most of my efforts on French too. I hope that answered your question, Chantal.
Yes, it does. Thank
Okay.
you. No, I like the color coding things where you can see everything at once, you know. the
Yeah.
lines. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Very good. Any other quick questions or comments?
I think
I have a quick question. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Who wants to go first? Did you have any live video sessions with your students along with the Google and Seesaw? Okay.
Nope. We did not do synchronous teaching. If a student needed help, they could come into my class, into my Zoom room, you know, that thing. But Mount Vernon could not handle the live experience. That's a very definite, we can't do that. Second question.
it wasn't a question. Just I think that for me to do what you did, it would take me days and days and days and days. I don't know how I could ever do it.
Okay, I'll come back to, I'm going to say your name wrong again. Ariadne?
No, I was Julia.
No, but Ariadne was on earlier.
Yes,
Can
you
you
said
say
it right. Yes.
I do. Did you feel like that before? Did you feel like Julia before we met?
100%. I was so overwhelmed, and I told you, I'm like, I have 2 young kids that I'm like, I can't. I physically can't. I'm home. I'm cooking. I'm feeding. I'm napping, and I have to teach. Go. Like.
So, I swear, Julia, if you spend 20, 30 minutes with me, I can help you through that, because once it's like all teachers learning a new thing. We have a guide, we have a mentor, we have somebody that's showing us, and then we figure it out more. But that first step, that's why we're doing this webinar, is to say, does it look interesting to you? Would you like to try it? We're here to help you. This is like your one-on-one, like guide you through that first time. It was like the first time we learned how to use PowerPoint, right? That was an overwhelming thing for many of us. So this is, I promise you, Julia, any level of person can try out these little things.
And can I just add one more thing, Catherine? I think with all of the tools that you gave me, I explored all of them, and I took the one that I felt the most confident with, and I ran with that. So that's finding your medium too.
Exactly. Okay, I'm going to go back so I can finish up this quick one. You know that I did that for the masculine foods, and now here it is for the feminine foods, and I just changed the colors. That way I'd have my students do that. They're going to record their sentences, then I sent it back, and I'm going to show you what, who should we listen to is my good question. I would like you to listen to a student who normally struggles a lot in French, who is not the strongest person probably ever, but who did a really good job, and this is Jens, okay? So here's his activity. I see that he got the le and the la right. That's a formative thing. I go, yep, it's right. If not, I can send him a comment and saying, hey, this is hilarious. He put this out here, and that's right. I forgot that he actually wrote the words in there because the actual word that he wanted wasn't available. So that was a fun one to watch. We'll do one more student. Okay.
J'aime le avocat particle sans sens. J'aime le citron-verse particle sans aigu. Je n'aime pas le provence particle sans dégoûtant. Je n'aime pas le haricot vert particle sans M.
So what I did with her, Julia, you could hear her pronunciation. She was giving a good attempt, right? She was attempting. But what I did was I sent her a quick screencastify. I showed her work, and I just screencastified over it. I'm like, Julia, awesome job. You are making great progress. Here's a couple of things for me. Here are a couple of my suggestions for you. And I just sent that privately to her through Google Classroom. I just said, I listened to your work. That's great. And then I offered the chance she can just record it again on her own, and we'll practice it again. Okay, so when you have a student who's not as amazing as Allison, but still made a good effort at something, give them some good feedback and send that to them personally and let them try it over. I'm not grading these. I'm looking at their progress. A lot of this life was just summative land, doesn't exist anymore. It's formative, 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 and feedback. Okay, so those are the 2 things I wanted to show you were the most important for that, because everything else that the kids did for the rest of the weeks is awesome. But what I wanted to get them to was this interculturality, was them to look at the Francophone world and to have them explore foods and food traditions, not just food in our world, but food around the world. So in week 4, they looked at a quick little infographic that I found that talks about food vocabulary, just real, you know, we've probably all seen this one before. So I had them read that. They did a little Quizlet, and then they did a little a Padlet that talked about Le Petit Déjeuner de Thomas. It's a video that I found. It's very comprehensible. I hopefully won't get, oh yes, thank you, I love it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, thank you. And on this video, it's just pictures and just words. There we go. So there's so much tradition in there that the students are singing. And I had them fill out a Padlet just in English. What did you see? Which food words did you hear? How do you feel about his breakfast? And then if you want, post a picture of your own breakfast or a breakfast you'd like to eat. So kids, they shared their pictures. This was a real fun little Padlet thing to do. I'm sure most of you have done a Padlet before. I'm just wondering if you've done a Padlet where you had the kids watch a video and then react to it. No, Sarah says no. You can put those in there, and so it becomes kind of like an it's not really like Edpuzzle, but it's a place. You could have put this in Google Forms. You could have put this anywhere. I put it on a Padlet so they could see the different answers. I try not to overwhelm the kids with too many things, and I admit that probably I went a little too far this year, but they were good sports about it. I would say stick to 2 or 3 things. I've done a Padlet where the kids put their skits in the video so they can watch each other. That's a great way to do that. So it's a sharing board, right? It's like a public space for kids to share. Why do they log on to Google before Padlet? I wanted to see their names to make sure that the kids were present, that it was them doing it. Okay. So 2 more weeks for me to share real quick. I don't know if it's so quick, but here's week 5. This is where we get into the big things. What's it like to eat school lunch in other countries? And so I gave them a little vocabulary, and I made a little tutorial for them for Google Maps because that's what they're going to do. I have a playlist that they can watch about, there's 14, 15 different videos just for them to explore if they're bored. A lot of the kids say I miss listening to French, so I made these playlists. And the playlists are open to everybody. If you haven't been on my YouTube page for my students yet, I'll show you that towards the end. So this is my big deal that I wanted them to do, was I made a Google map of school lunch menus around the French-speaking world. First of all, I'm showing them how many countries speak French. Quite a few, right? I didn't get every single country because not every place I could find a menu for. I'm also showing traditions, products, and practices of food in different areas, and for them to look at the map. So here's a picture of the school, and when they click on it, this is where I was last summer in Polynésie Française, and my friend teaches here, and there's a picture of the lunch, and here's the menu. And so the job for the students was that they were going to choose 2 schools in 2 different countries. So they could pick over here, they could pick in Senegal. They're going to pick 2 different schools, and they're going to do a little bit of research on the food that was listed. I want them to look up the words, to look up some pictures. I made a little bit of a graphic for them, just so that they know that there's parts of the meal, so then other products and practices. And I said, so you're going to watch, you're going to click on this link, and I want you to go and explore these menus and come back and tell me what types of foods did you see and what do you think about them, okay? So this was a big deal for them. All those little baby steps that we took, those teeny tiny baby steps, and then they became bigger steps, and now it's a big thing saying, go out into the world, look at what people are eating, and come back and tell us about that. This map is open for everybody. You'll get the link for it so that if you want to send it out to your students, they can use it too. You would have to make your own Google form for them to fill out about it, or however you want them to get back to you. So this is a great way to do that. Thoughts on the Google map? Questions on that? Would you like to see how to make one real quick? Really, really fast. Because I've done this for, yeah. So I've done this for fourniture scolaire and cantine scolaire and places in a city. So a lot of you discuss like la boulangerie, la bibliothèque, la librairie. Remember when you're doing places in a town? I've done that for the students for Angers, and I put those different things in a city. So let me show you real quick what we can do. If you go to maps.google.com, okay, you've seen this before. Click on the 3 little bars and then scroll down to where it says your places. Okay, your places. Okay, now it says your places. Go over to maps. Here's my maps. Paris scavenger hunt, les monuments, les lieux de Paris. I've done restaurant et boulangerie à Montréal. So now you go down to create map. And you have to think about what is it that you want to show. So if you're going to go over and do something in Senegal, okay, you can scroll in real tight and you can find like places in the city that you'd like to do. Or if you're going to do a world view, you can make a big, now there's a little place marker right up here. It says add marker. And you're going to put it in the country you want or the place that you want. And you can put like the name of the country. You can type some text. You can add a link. You can add a picture. You can even search pictures. Okay, so something like that. And that will show up in the pinpoint. Once you hit save, that'll be there. And then you hit share and send it out to your kids. So you're going to make a map. Okay, I'm just being silly here right now. Okay, and then start adding those little pinpoints wherever you want them. And you need to give them a name, write some text or put a link in, and if you want to put a picture. So I'll hit the stop for a second. What do you think? Too hard or okay? Amy says okay. I've already made a bunch of maps, so if you want to start with those, send me an email and I'll share the map with you. Or if you want to try one out and you need one-on-one help, we'll do a Zoom, just you and me, and we'll make it together. Okay, that's good. All right. So I wanted these students to go and experience school lunch in other countries, and that was my first step for them, just to look at the different menus, because when they look at our menu, the kids go, gross, our food is so gross. And normally when we are in class, I would have the kids go out and take pictures of their school lunch. I print them off. The kids make a trifold of the good, the bad, and my suggestions. And they say, I refuse to eat the French fries of our school because they're nasty and disgusting. I like the salad bar because it's fresh and healthy. So they do that type of thing. This is French too, right? And in the middle, they put their suggestions based on the things that they saw from the other countries. So they're pulling in that interculturality piece to it, saying, hey guys, what would the perfect school lunch look like for you? That was a fun experience for them. Usually they present that for the school board in French, but right now we're not going to be doing that for a while. Okay, so I'm going to close a few of these things and show you. The next week that we did, the last week of work that I had them do was do an ed puzzle. And this ed puzzle was about school lunch in I think it was Normandy. Let me pull it up here real quick. And there it is, Bien manger en Normandie. And I'm sure most of you have seen Ed Puzzle, but I'm showing you that you can take an authentic resource that ties into your theme, that ties into your essential questions. And I made this up for the kids. It's real easy for them to understand. I just tell them, hey, you're going to watch this movie. Gotcha. And I tick, okay. Okay. So this beautiful, okay, then I put a picture up and I tell them, hey, this is where Normandy is. You always want to. And I'm showing them this so they get an idea of what it looks like in a different place. I can't be there pointing things out to them. So I'm always stopping the video and saying, do you notice the glasses? Do you know that? So they're using silverware, not plastic. You know, I'm putting this all in there so that they feel like they're being part of the experience. There's more than just adding questions to Ed Puzzle. You can add little comments in there. So it's like you're tapping them on the shoulder and saying, pay attention, okay? Is there a difference between Google Maps and ThingLink? Let me come back to that question. Okay. I got so many questions. I want to try and finish the things that you can see what we're doing, and then we'll come back and have like blow my mind away with questions. The last thing that we did was I had this book that I bought up in Canada at the dollar store. I love it, dollar store. It's called Le Monde dans ton assiette. And this is a PDF of it. I wrote them and asked for it. It's a very easy book. It's very comprehensible. It's got little glosses on the bottom, lots of pictures, people from different places around the world. And I asked them to read the book, and then there was a Google form for it. So that's what I did with the students in French 2 for this 6 weeks of learning, was take them from knowing nothing about food vocabulary to looking at the world and what we eat around the world. So I'm going to start throwing out your questions. Is there a difference between using ThingLink or Google Maps? No. Google Maps is free. ThingLink can be amazing, and I've used it. You've probably seen my presentation with ThingLinks. I love it. I use multiple things, so if you like ThingLink better, go for it. Getting the map just perfect so that you can see all the different places on ThingLink can be tricky. Oh yes, I have the Michael Moore thing up there for them as well. That is one of the videos that they're watching. What sources that you showed us do you have to pay for? None of them. I make sure they're free. The Seesaw thing I paid for it because I wanted to see what else I could do with it. What is Catherine's email? Google me. I'm easy. Actually, it's on the first one. I'll put it in the chat here. Catherine KU 72@gmail.com. Okay.
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Did you, one of my bigger struggles, and I think I worked it to a good point by the last week I was planning. But one of my struggles I thought was, first of all, I was just bombarded with all the resources that I was really excited to have the time to be able to find all the things. And I think I was giving my students too much work.
We probably all did, and that's okay.
Okay. And so I didn't know if you had, I was actually contemplating having one of my students be like a sample for me and be like, do this, let me know how much time it's taking you.
Absolutely, that's a very good idea. I had a student who is very teacher oriented, as in I think she wants to be a teacher, and she would come back and make little comments. She would get it done first because she's that student, right? And she'd come back and say, I think you should try it this way, or I think you could add this or something. I was not offended by that at all. I was really impressed that she took the time to think about it, and I tried a few of her suggestions. I'm hoping to get one of those teacher grants. I know that what you only saw 6 weeks, and the truth is that we had 10 weeks. And what I did was I gave like a week and a half sometimes for some of those activities. Because where I live, it's very rural. So someone asked about rural and connectivity. Even with the hotspots, some of my students couldn't get on. And so I had, at our school, you could request print copies. And so you just send the materials, and every week the print person would set up the print copies of whatever we wanted to send out. The kids would drive by and pick up their stuff. I gave them more time than most teachers probably would have to get these things done. Instead of having 10 weeks of work, I had 6. And so I just reduced it. I never said, you have to have this done by Friday at 5 p.m. I just couldn't do that to my students because a lot of them were working in the fields, taking care of their families. Mount Vernon's a very, very rural place with lots of need. So always thinking of my students.
Now, when you were actually giving the printed materials, did you create something different?
So that book that you saw, I had photocopies made of that illegally. Okay, yep, here we go, did it. I actually, I wrote Scholastic and I said, I need some help here, and they were okay with that. The other things that I had were already like readings and materials that I had that I would have used in the unit otherwise, that I hadn't had a chance to send out on March 13th. So I just had the print person fix that up for me. And so I didn't have to make anything new. So those included reading IPAs. They were articles and infographics with questions for the students. So when they weren't able to do it through the video or online, they had reading materials galore. And lots of interactive little things too. What else?
Hi, Catherine. Are you, I mean, when you were teaching before, do you use a book for
Nope.
elementary level?
I read the whole curriculum.
Okay. And then
yeah, and that's a curriculum that I've been working on for about 8 to 10 years. So it's a lot of input. It's not something I would say is start doing overnight.
Yeah, this was my second question. The last question, when you were teaching face-to-face, do you speak French all the time or you use English? Because this is always debating between colleagues about, when we teach elementary levels, some people think that we shouldn't use English at all. Others say, no, it's okay if you use English. How about you? What do you think?
I use French when I teach.
All the time? No English? For the elementary level, I'm thinking of just elementary level.
I don't know how to answer that because I use English when it's necessary, but I teach mainly in French.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah. One question is, Pamela asks, how do you get around YouTube being blocked for students? Are they being blocked at home, Pamela? If they're on their own Wi-Fi? Or are you talking about during school days?
If I could interject, sometimes the kids using their school computers at home, the school has it blocked. So even if they're connected to their home Wi-Fi, they were not able to access YouTube. I definitely found that to be an issue.
Exactly. I've done, okay, so you're going to listen to this very carefully and not turn me into the FBI. Are we all in agreement? Ready? Ready? I download the video and upload it to Google Drive. There we go. I've done that many, many times. That's a bad thing. That's evil. I shouldn't do it, but I need to make sure my students
That
can
might
see
be
it.
a stupid question, but how do you do that? That might be a stupid question. Like, I don't know how
It's
to
not a stupid question. I have a program that I bought called Snagit, S-N-A-G-I-T. I'll put it in here. That's one. And the
you can
other
also
one,
use Screencastify to just record your screen.
You could do that. You can do that. And that's the other one is called WM Recorder. I really wanted the quality ones, but Screencastify. So when I bought these things, Screencastify wasn't around, and it was only 5 minutes. And now I have the full, complete version. So hey, my life is better. But before that, I just downloaded it illegally. Okay.
Another one called Quick Grab. I think that's what. Let me look on my computer and see what it's called. I think it's called Quick Grab. You just download the software for free.
Be careful of those, please, 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 please. A lot of, okay, when you do like downloader for YouTube, you can get a lot of malware.
Right.
Okay, just always check with like a reputable resource. ClipGrab, I haven't tried, I don't know, and there's so many of those. There's a couple of websites that will help rate free downware for you to make sure that you're not downloading like malware for your computer.
Hey, Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
I sent you a private message before, so you've been replying to me. So if you can change it to everyone, they can see your messages.
You are so helpful. Thank you so much. Thank you. I love you. I love you. Okay. Trop gentil. What else? Okay. Oh, thank you.
I was going to say that I downloaded a video one time and it really ruined my computer. So I lost all kinds of good stuff. So I'm really careful. That's why I'm concerned about doing the videos and downloading anything like that.
If you go to WM Recorder, this is the one that I didn't get in there. This is really good. This is very reputable thing right here. Okay, so look for that. You do have to pay for it. And you know what? When you pay, sometimes that does make a difference. I need to show you real quick, and I'm going to give you this presentation, right? Because I did the same. I did a lot of things also for the intermediate level, and I wanted to make sure that they came up. And their thing was tourist typique or what? I wish this would pop down. Give me a sec. Okay, explorateur engagé. I'm sorry you can't see that. It's always the deal with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, disappear. And it almost did. So this is for my intermediate. And what I would do is invite you to look at what I did for the upper level kids. When you click on this, that takes you to my 3, 4, and AP. And I'll be pretty blatant is that I taught the same thing for all 3 levels like that. And it's a very good experience for me because I just did not want to recreate everything new every week for all 3 levels. And you can judge me on that, but I feel like it was just a different experience for the kids, and I didn't want to overwhelm myself as well. So on this one, they were going to go through the different regions, and this is where I got the Wakelet deal, where the students were going and exploring the different regions. And a lot of you had some questions about that one, but we only have 20 minutes. I would say if you can just click through this presentation and look at it and see what you like or not. My big deal was just to get the kids to try some new ideas about what food is around the world and how it connects to our identity based on your geography. And one of the ways that I started to do that is with the learning apps. It's learningapps.org. It's a free site. If you like Quizlet, you're gonna love, love, love this one because it gives you more options to create with. So it is a free site, and that's always important to me, okay? When you log in with your account, you can build all sorts of things, and it's called Create App. So like matching pairs, you can do matching pairs on images. You can do the closed text, group puzzles, millionaire game. I think most of you have done that. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Audio, video with notices. So there's all sorts of games that you can build, but I want to show you the one that I did for my students because the kids in Mount Vernon are somewhat centralized in their experience here in our city. They don't really know what food traditions are around our country. So I made this map, and it's kind of like a thing link. When the kids click on a place that says Santa Fe, New Mexico, and then I gave them some pictures, and I said, which of these pictures do you think is the regional specialty for that area? Okay, so this is just for the United States, so they could select it, and then they can check and see if they got it right. I did this because if I'm going to explain what it's like to have the regional specialties in France, I need them to understand that we too in the United States have those regional specialties. And my students, they know Washington State, maybe California, and then they know where they came from. And so if I said, well, what do you think they eat over there, Janelle, in your area? What's the specialty, Janelle, of what's like the food thing I have to have over there?
Whoops, in our area?
Yeah.
Oh, probably clam chowder,
right.
Coffee milk, baked beans, Boston baked beans.
Right. So if I said that to my students, they would have no idea, except for the clam chowder. That's really popular here because we have Ivars. The things that if I'm going to show the world to them, they need to be able to compare to ourselves. So if you live by the ocean, surprise, surprise, the things you're going to eat that are specialties in your region are based on the ocean. If you live in the Midwest and you have a lot of berries or potatoes or corn or something, or your food is kind of bland, I'm from Midwest, I just wanted them to know that because when we look at France and we look at the different regions, I need them to understand, look at where that place is located. Look, they grow a lot of grapes there. What do you think they're going to have? So that's that interculturality again of them understanding from our perspective to understand their perspective. Okay. And again, you'll be able to go click through that entire experience for the students. And I did a lot of things for them to get them to understand that. So we're going to do we're only going to do 5-minute conversation room. I'd like you to share one unit that you would like to work on or develop or reorganize to support your students in leveling up during a hybrid or distance learning. So how could you think that you can take them up a little bit? And then is there somebody in your group there that could be a collaborative partner, somebody that could be a PLN person à distance? So when I make these groups here for you, just real quick, 5 minutes. So the last thing I'm going to discuss today, and we're going to go a little bit over, it's like 10:05, I hope we're okay with that, is un monde de ressources au bout de vos doigts. And this is where I know a lot of you have the questions about the Wakelet. Catherine's always talking about the Wakelet on our group. I'm going to say that not everybody saves their resources as well as they could. And I always am, they're like, can you find this? Can you find this? And we get a lot of questions. Does anyone have this? And we have it. It's already organized. It's most likely organized. I'm going to show you all of the resources that you can use. Wakelet is sort of like a bookmarking page. It's like Pinterest, but so much better. we have about, I think, 15 right now. So it's growing. I'm taking everything that's on the ATF Pinterest boards that we have, which there's 70, 75 or 80, there's quite a few. Those are organized right into different themes, and we have all sorts of resources, whether they be articles or videos or websites for your students to look at. Some things are very, very current, and some things are a tiny bit older. We're always looking for people to help us grow on this. But as you see, Pinterest, you can't organize, it's just mishmash. Okay, so now if I go into Wakelet, I've organized it because it's like a feed, and it tells you this is the section you will find these things in. So there are videos, and there are articles, there are websites. And so if you're taking your students on a virtual trip, which I did with my students in the intermediate level, and I said, okay, I want them to be able to access these resources, or I, as the teacher, want to just have them all organized so I don't have to be looking up through all my bookmarks. Where is this? Where is that? If you are a teacher who cannot organize very well, this is a good way for you to be organized, or you can just use what we've organized. So these are a good start. If you look through them right now, I've worked really hard on the different regions of France. But also, if you look, when we first went into COVID closed down, I made one with choice boards and daily activities, and everyone that was sharing them on French teachers in the US, you know, they gave me permission. We just put them up there. Michelle and Marie, I see your name. Okay. And I said, so go look at other people's work, because other people have already done this. I want you to feel, yeah, this is a treasure. And it's the biggest thing that I can do for you is that to say, stop wasting your time looking for all the resources, they're already there. If you wanted any articles for your students, someone mentioned about maybe starting the next school year with talking about school. What if we talk about school around the world in the hybrid or the distance learning atmosphere? So these are all these resources that you can use with your students, either their videos or articles that you can bring in for an IPA, just an interpretive task, something that can do with that. If you're into the, what was the one I wanted to look at? Fête et Tradition, there's Halloween, it's a very specific one. This is my favorite really still. This is called Identité publique, Héros, Modèle et Célébrité. And this is the last unit that I completed with my French 2 students before we started the food, before we left. And it was all about Francophone celebrities. So I was showing them the Francophone world and showing them people from all over, the artists, the singers, the actors, who are the most popular people, but then who are the people that we admire. So I kind of went from, yeah, we can have celebrities that we think that are so awesome, but who are people that we can look up to as a role model? And I showed those people from all over the world. And I wanted to bring in interviews and songs. There was this beautiful one called La Personne que j'admire. So these are wonderful resources. Wakelet is very easy to use. I just want to know, first of all, that you know that it exists, okay, that those collections exist. You can start your own, and it can be just for you as the teacher, or you can share it with your students and say, okay, I want you to go to find one article or one video or something, and I want you to watch it and come back and tell us what you gained from this, or how can you insert that into your AP rédaction, something that you're going to do for either a listening or writing or presentational type of experience, okay? So if you want to just grab something, you click on it, and you can either save it to your own bookmarks or you can just listen to it. This is a great interview, by the way. I love this interview. All of these have been selected for the teacher and the student in mind. It's not just any old random thing I found on the internet. It's for a teaching purpose. I wouldn't give you stuff that you can't use. If you want to help me collect things, I will send you this link so that you can come in and be an editor. To edit, it's really easy. You click the little green button, and let's say, well, let's go to, I don't know, YouTube real quick, real fast, and you'll see everything in my history, so don't laugh. Okay, you can see I watch a lot of fun stuff.
Can you share your screen?
Oh my goodness, you are the best for yelling me out. Thank you. Let's do that first. Okay. Oh my goodness, let's see. Okay, let's say we have a video that we want to save. You can save it into your playlist, but if you want to put it into a Wakelet, so the first thing you're going to do is edit the collection, find this section, so you can click on this little arrow and you can make sections just by typing in like videos or something. Okay, and once you make a section, you hit done, click on this, and you just paste your link. So anytime you want to add something, you're going to hit the green plus. You can paste the URL directly. You can put in a YouTube video, tweets, which is awesome. You can also put in Instagram. You can put in images that are from your computer. You can do PDFs, anything from your Google Drive, Flipgrid videos. So if you wanted to put something out for your students, that's there, okay? And if you don't want something, you can get rid of it. If you want to move something, like put it in a different position, you can either grab it and move it, or you can move it with the arrows, or you can move it very to the bottom.
Catherine, I just I just opened a Quizlet or a Wakelet account, but how do I find your stuff?
Okay, so
or the AATF stuff.
You can just go to Wakelet. Here, let's go like this. Wakelet.com/AAT French. Oops, and you have to have the @ symbol, excuse me. Okay, so Wakelet.com and then AAT French, @AAT French, right there. And you can grab our stuff too.
Catherine, you don't have to worry about copyright or anything like that?
You're saving a bookmark. You're not doing anything. Yeah, it's just like Pinterest. Pinterest would be dead if that was illegal. If you go through, there's always reading resources, writing resources, listening resources. There's a whole section on Le Mois de la Francophonie, Fêtes et Traditions d'Hiver, Livres. Oh my gosh, this is a great way if you want to send your students some books, as in ebooks that they can use either on their computer or they can get free magazines. I've got all of those listed here, okay? If you just scroll down and look at this, again, I'm taking everything from Pinterest and trying to get it up on Wakelet so that I can organize it. But I have to say that it's a big job, and I'm doing so many other things, that I gotta just, what's my word? I gotta bide my time. So if you wanna help me doing this, I would be very, very excited to invite you to do that. Okay, so if you're a good curator. Questions about Wakelet? It's a way to organize your stuff so that you don't ever have to go worrying, where did I put it? Where did I put it? But it's also a way, like, and I'm very, very gentle on this. When you come in to the French teachers in the US and you say, does anyone have something for? I would say, have you looked at either the Pinterest or the Wakelet for the, not necessarily an activity, but for at least a resource? Okay, and if you keep looking down, there was Notre Dame de Paris. That was the first one I made. Réseaux sociaux, société inclusive et droits humains, and égalité des sexes, éducation civile. We have so many different ways for you to find resources. Okay, so I'll keep going because I know I've got a little bit of time. The same thing for Pinterest, lots of stuff. So the last one I'm going to show you right now is not my school one, so sorry. This is the ATF.
We still need to see your screen again, sorry.
You, not sorry, say thank you, Catherine, but you are silly, definitely. Okay, so this is the ATF YouTube channel. Okay, so these are all our playlists, and there's something like 85 playlists now. We have all sorts of topics and themes organized for you, from like specific countries, from different themes for the AP, from different vocabulary subjects. I'm putting together, just like from Mali, we have Tourisme et Culture, Burkina Faso. These are so direct that you can look through here and find Endroit en Ville, Côte d'Ivoire, Polynésie Française. These are here for you because you don't want to have to go through thousands of videos and try and find what you need, right? I mean, this is the place for you to go and look first. YouTube is gigantic, and you're looking for something that's authentic and meant for students. That's what I put in those collections. Nothing that's not meant for learning. I try to keep it really big one. Yeah, there's a really good one on racism on Wakelet that we've been putting together. So many important topics and things for students and for teachers to be looking at. That one is, it's alphabetical, I thought. Here. This one has 57 different items right now. So it's an invitation for you to learn to talk with your students, for teachers to learn on their own, and then something, resources for all teachers. And these I've chosen from Canada, from France, from Polynésie Française. I'm trying to find resources from all over the world because we don't want it just to be from the European perspective. Okay, so look through these. If you have something you want to share, I'll definitely put it up here. If it's a book you think people could use in class, I'll throw that in there as well. Okay, so one of our last webinars, we talked about that. Yeah, so that's a really good one. Okay, I have 2 minutes left, and I will stay on a little bit longer if anyone needs to or wants to ask more questions, but I want to just throw you out 2 more things. There's the ATF collections, Pinterest, YouTube. We have our Google Photos. You can click on that. All you need to do is click, and that will take you to where we're looking at, and the Diigo. Normally we would have a little conversation time, but I think I sometimes get excited about so many other things I want to show you that I didn't get a chance to go through the whole presentation, which means we'll have to get together again another time. Okay, so I'm going to send this out to everybody in the meeting, in the chat. If you can click on it real quick. You have the presentation now. That has the links to my units, that has the links to all the ATF resources, that has my contact information, and a big thank you. Now, 10:05. We started at 9:05, 8:05. Wow, that was 2 hours ago, 2 hours of fun. What final questions do you need to ask me?
Quick question. This is a dumb one.
I know you.
Hi.
We've worked together in person.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Dumb question. Do we need to make a copy of it?
No.
Of your...
No, you can just click on those.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's open for everybody. Yeah. What else?
Kathleen, do you have a preference between, it seems like everything you've done in Seesaw, we've tried to do in Nearpod with various degrees of success or not.
I don't use Nearpod. I did when it first started, and then I mean, like I was like the one first test pilot on that, and I said it's great, but I have other things I'm using. And as we mentioned before, if it works for you and it's good for your students, stick with it. I don't use it, but I like it. I put it that way. How about that? It's a good tool.
And I was just looking yesterday, there's a lot of really great already prepared units in French.
Yes, for most of these, like Seesaw, Teachers Share Galore, Nearpod, learning apps, that one that I showed you with the map of the United States, teachers have shared all sorts of stuff on that. So always look to see what's been created. Do you need the link again? I can put that in here. The link is inside the document for Google Photos. So it's the next to the last slide on the entire presentation. Okay, what else? I can't answer everything in 2 hours. I just can't. I try every single time we do a thing, but I can show you like a snippet, and then you can contact me and we'll work on it.
I have a few questions if you don't mind.
I do love listening to your voice.
I missed you guys.
I miss you. You're one of our future leaders and a current leader. You're amazing.
Thank you. So I'm gonna just type them, and then feel free to just answer with your ones you can. Sorry, I have so many. Best resources to help students speak French online. That's my first one. I guess my most important one. The other ones, if you can't get to, that's okay.
Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, and you're seeing it. Yeah. If you go to my website, Catherine-Ousselin.com.
Yes, I'm
right. Yep, and go to technology tools and go to like recording tools or digital storytelling, either one of those.
Perfect. I
put them in order. So look, Flipgrid's there. Charlala, believe it or not, even though it's supposed to be Spanish, you can make that for any language. There's VoiceThread. Those are my top for just recording, but if you're doing digital storytelling, you can go down a little bit further and see these like Screencastify. I do a lot of Screencastify. These are some tutorials that I made on what students can do with those. But Adobe Spark Video is amazing too.
Awesome.
Adobe Spark Video is so powerful. I know that Heidi Trude uses it quite a bit.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, so
I'll leave
what's
those
your
other
other question?
questions there if you can answer, but I think somebody else might have another question though.
Okay, will you write me an email?
Yeah.
Okay,
Great.
we'll
Thank
do
you.
that.
Thanks so much.
You know where to find me. Okay, and then what's another question?
I have a question.
Fondant.
If it's not too much work. I was wondering because I'm trying to get notes on, you know, the website, and I make copies and everything. And I know you have you share very kindly everything with us. Do you have an existing list of all the tools you use with the links? This way we can try with that. I feel like a little bit overwhelmed right now. I want to try so many things. Do you have an existing list of all the tools?
Yeah, so it's my website, and I'll put it back in the chat. So when you go onto my website, which you can see right now, there you go to technology tools, and digital storytelling and recording and assessment are the ones I use most often with my students. So those are, when you click on it, there's links to it, and there's student examples, there's teacher examples, there's always an example. So here's the Google Maps, and here's an example. And I believe this might take you, yeah, this takes you to all of them that you can make. So hopefully, Chantal, that helps out. And I will put the message, I'll put my website right there in the chat for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep, so those are lists of all the links I use.
Okay, yeah, okay, merci.
De rien.
Do you, or anyone, were you able to find a good interpersonal communication tool for virtual learning?
Okay, do you need it to be synchronous?
Not necessarily.
Okay, here's the crazy idea. You can recreate Flipgrid if you want by just doing it on Google Slides. So if you had a Google slide with a prompt, okay? And then another, so you have make a whole presentation, and you have your prompt with your video or your audio right there. And then you put multiple slides below that. A student could put their answer as a video into your slides, and then another student would listen to it and put their answer to that person's in there. So you would have like two videos right next to each other, and it would look like they were talking to each other.
But what if you want to do it real time? Like you want the student.
There's really, and I've talked
breakout rooms.
Breakout rooms are the only thing that I can tell you about. And if you're using Google Meet, they're working on that.
Yeah.
There's nothing that we can say will work very well. Breakout rooms are your best bet. And then you better set up those parameters for your students on behavior, expectations, and outcomes. And that's important, because otherwise kids have been in that classroom setting for 12, 10, however years that they've been in school. That means school to them. My teacher is in charge, and this is what I do. Ha, 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 right? When we're in our bedrooms or in our living rooms or in our dining rooms, that's not school to them. And so this first, from March till now was just them going, this isn't school. That wasn't their concept. They have been they have been conditioned to know that school is when I'm in the classroom with my teacher, this is school. So you've got to set it up for them, because Zoom breakout rooms, that's pretty close to their little chat worlds, and chat world means I can do whatever I want. So be sure to be firm with them and to give your expectations. And if it doesn't work, please be gentle on them and yourselves, because that's not what they're used to, and it can't flip overnight. It can't flip in a month.
It would be so great if Zoom would enable teachers to be in all the rooms.
And if you have fewer kids in your Zoom, like if you only have 10 kids that come to your Zoom session, and then you can put them in 3 breakout rooms or 2 breakout rooms, then you can go back and forth. Just like I did, I was popping into each of them. I had 17 rooms to get into. I didn't get through every single one of them.
Right.
Katya,
So,
you can
if
I
you have,
also,
yep.
sorry, can I also make a suggestion for Zoom? I haven't tried this, but it's a thought. If you make some of your students co-hosts to the meeting, which is a little bit dangerous, but they can't get into too much trouble, and then you send them into breakout rooms, those co-hosts can record their conversation. So you can, so you still can have a recording of whatever they're doing. That's a way to keep them accountable in that breakout room.
Absolutely, Michelle. I think that is a great idea. You choose your students and give them a little, like a benefit. Give them some, send them a Starbucks card, send them an Amazon gift card for $10. I don't joke. Money makes things happen.
Kathleen?
So,
Kathleen,
so wait,
could
so
I-
I'm sorry. So you make them the co-host and then they record the session?
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
They can save, they can't record unless they are a co-host. But once you give them that power, they have a record button that they can then record, and then they can choose to either save it to their computer or to the cloud. And then they can forward it to you. It doesn't record automatically in your Zoom room.
Did you use that?
I haven't
if you
tried
use
it.
Meet, if you use Meet, if I can just interject something that's kind of cool. I like the video quality on Zoom better, and we were for a while not allowed to use Zoom, so we had to use Meet. And a colleague of mine had figured out a workaround to make breakout rooms just by reusing a whole bunch of links. And I made a Google Doc. I shared this on French teachers in the US, and I shared it on Teaching Through the Pandemic, and I shared it on the off-topic list, I think. So if you look under Michelle M, all my instructions are there with the example on Facebook. But there's a Google Doc with like sort of little blocks that had the links, because the Google Meet links are reusable. And since I'm the one that made all the links, when I said, okay, kids, you know, you guys go to table 1, like, so they went and they clicked on that link. You guys go to table 2, you guys go to table 3, everybody have this conversation, make a recording, they could all hit record. But when they hit record, it was automatically saved in my Google Drive. All they had to do was hit record. And I got emails. And so the second class was over, I went to my email and bing, 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 there were all the dialogues. It was kind of magic. I didn't even know it was going to do that.
So for the Zoom thing, Katya, I would say definitely look at your students and find out who's a good co-host to do that, because some schools don't let us use Meet. I mean, everyone has Microsoft Teams, Meet, you know, Zoom. There's so many different things. So find also Heidi Trude. She's good with a lot of these questions about the different rooms. I'm right now best at Zoom, but Google Meets. Find Michelle. Find your experts.
Hi, is there a way we can save the stuff from the chat?
Yeah, it's already being saved. And so when Jana posts this on the web, okay, you'll get an email and you'll have the chat transcript.
Oh, great, thanks.
Yep.
Kathleen, I saw quite a few people posted in the chat about accents on Seesaw. How does that work?
So if you're on a Mac, you just hold the letter down. If you're on a PC, you use the Alt code plus your numbering pad. If you're on a Chromebook, you're going to change your keyboard to INTL, and then you can use the hotkeys for that one.
So you can do it right in the platform itself?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Maria, what kind of computer are you on, or what are you using that you want to take a screenshot with? On a PC. Okay, if you go down to your search bar and you type snipping tool, and on your PC, not on your browser, but on your PC, in that little looking glass, what are these things called? Loop. Magnifying glass, you could just type in snipping tool and you can take a picture with that. Or you can do print screen. Okay. I know there's more questions, but someone asked if I do one-on-one teaching. Yes, I do. Just by me, it's usually free. Sorry.
Could I ask you a very quick question?
Absolutely.
That's we haven't talked much about writing, especially writing for the advanced levels. I was wondering if you had suggestions for tools to give feedback. I've used Kaizena, but I was wondering if there were other tools that might be less time consuming.
Right. So do you want to do marking or feedback?
Feedback.
So what I do is I do a screencastify. I put the students' work right up on the screen, and I can use my cursor and I can show the student where that is, and I just give them oral feedback. It is so much quicker. It is so much easier. And then the student hears your voice. They can see your picture if you enable your camera. If you want to use Loom or Screencastify or something like Zoom, you can technically do that too. But I prefer oral feedback. When I go through on, say I use Google Docs and I can make a comment on that, that's one way. But I really do like doing the oral feedback. It's fast and it's the kids feel like they're really being helped when you talk to them.
Definitely, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
So that's why I was using Kaizena, but yeah, I was just wondering. Sometimes I like to tell them orally, but also writing an example or, you know, writing an arrow for word order or whatever.
Yes, absolutely.
So yes,
I like making comments.
How do you send the link for the Loom or Screencastify? You just
when you're done with Screencastify, it gives you a copy, like a share link automatically, and then you can just copy that link and send it to in an email.
But yeah, we were just talking about how students don't even use email anymore.
So then the other thing is when you're on a Google Doc, you can highlight a section and make a comment and put that link in there, and you can assign that to the student. Would you like to see how to do that?
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea how to do that.
Let me show. Do you use Google Docs?
In what way you mean shared with my students?
Yeah. Do your students compose on Google Docs?
Yeah.
Oh, are you a Google school?
No.
Okay, that's what I need to do. How do are you a Microsoft school, like Microsoft?
No, we're
Teams?
Canvas.
Do they have Gmail addresses?
Yeah. Of course
okay,
they have.
So then they're going to do it in Google most likely. So if you go to add, do you see that I've highlighted that area right there? You can click on add a comment, right? And you could,
right, yes.
And you could paste that in there, and then you use at. Oh, I gotta make this smaller for you. Okay, can you see the at now? If you go like this and you put an at to it, it will put that and it'll say assign to Catherine Ousselin. So you're gonna drop your link in, copy paste it, and then you're gonna put their name with the at, and then they're going to get like a notification that they have to do that.
I'm really sorry. I didn't quite follow that. So you're giving a link to your Screencastify or your Loom?
So let's go to Screencastify and my account. Let's see. We'll get a video here. What's my best way to do this? Let's go to Drive. You know what? There's a faster way to do it, but I'm going to do it this way for right now. Okay. Okay, so let's say that you've made a Screencastify video for your students, right? You're going to copy the link that it'll give it to you right there when you're done, and then come into your Google Doc, click the little plus, and copy paste that in there.
Okay.
Then you're going to put I know, and then you're going to at them with their name and then assign it to them, and they'll get a notification.
If you don't put the at, will they still know they got comments at some point? Because that's what I did also.
If you don't at them and they'll go back and look at it, it's easier if you at them.
Oh no, okay, thank you.
Yeah, it really is, because if you just put a comment and they don't go back and look at their work, then they're probably, yeah.
So all spring, no one probably saw my comments.
No, they probably saw them, because if they went back and looked at it, if you put a grade or if you put something on there, they probably went back and looked at it.
Okay, all right.
But it is better to at them.
Yeah.
And then assign it, especially assign it. Like that.
So if you click assign, then how do you know that they went and saw it? How do you know that they looked at it?
Well, hopefully they go and fix it, or they contact you, or you tell them, write me back, or type in like reply to my comment to prove that you were here. That's what I usually tell my students. Or the other way is when they resolve a comment. you get a little notification that they resolve it, that means that they looked at it.
And if you tell them to reply, they have to email you, right? Because they can't do it on Google.
Yes, they could answer that comment right there.
Oh, I see. And then you get an email about that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, cool.
Yay. All right, so I know there's a lot of people saying that they have to go, and I know I've kept you like 20 minutes over, but I want to make sure I get a chance to answer anyone's questions, because I know it's June, but September comes up, and I know that some of you start in August. It comes up fast. I'm going to be doing this one more time in July, and I won't do the same exact stuff, but it'll be more like, what do you need me to walk you through? So that'll be like level 2 of this. And I will send that out on French teachers in the US. I thank all of you who are members. Everyone on here is a member. I thank all of you for being here for us, because this is the one organization that really looks out for just the French teachers. We stick together. I'm not amazing. We're all amazing. We are facing serious issues. And when we get together like this and can support each other, that is the most meaningful experience. It's not as good as family, but it's damn close, right? So please make those connections with each other, and we'll be seeing you at the next webinar coming up, and make sure you attend as many as you can so that we can continue to meet together. Okay.
Merci beaucoup.
Okay, merci. Bon courage. On est les meilleurs. Okay.
Merci. Et à la prochaine.
Au revoir.
À la prochaine.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Tout le monde. Merci, à la prochaine.
Ciao.
Au revoir.